What's up guys, we are in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey, checking out this beautiful 7x10 pond. One thing you notice right away is how much moss is up by this waterfall. It is almost like neon colors. It is lush, it is thick, and it is not only taken over this waterfall, but it's even come over to this close side here where we have this beautiful wall. It is really taken off inside of this pond because it gets the perfect amount of shade, just enough sun, and obviously because it's right in the waterfall, it stays nice and moist, so the moss flourishes. This is roughly a 7x10, about 2 feet deep. We have our skimmer on that far side surrounded by those 2 bushes there, so it stays really hidden. And then we have our 2,500 biofalls here behind me. One thing I really like is the creeping plant all on this left side here has come down and softened that entire side there. Because we have such a dramatic grade change from down here all the way to the top of the steps and even a walkway going all the way to the left over there, we had to put a wall there, so that's why we put a creeping plant up there, so that way it just grows in, and over time it really has disguised and hidden that piece of rock work. Now, along with the creeping plant that came down and covered that whole rock wall side, we have that Thalia plant on that far side, that super tall one. That thing is easily 6 feet tall, towering over me, which is super cool. So it comes up and you can even admire it from that walkway up there. And then we have our papyrus right here, this beautiful corkscrew, and even some grass right here. But the lily is really the key feature in this pond. There's no fish in here, so this is really more of a plant pond, which is totally all right. This lily is taking off though. We have a beautiful pink flower right there, and we have at least another 4 sprouts that are coming up. So hopefully in the next week or 2, this thing is gonna have 5 big, beautiful pink flowers on it. The water is absolutely crystal clear. I could see all the way to the bottom, which is super cool. Along with all these other plants, we have hyacinth in here. And like I said, the moss also is that key feature. The lily and the moss, those two are just taking off. I love how it is just softening up this side right here, just coming in, covering the face of those rocks, and essentially meshing those edges together. So it doesn't look like there's just one rock placed to another. It just gives it that seamless look. But you see it really a lot more up in that waterfall. It is so thick, it is so nice looking. Like I said, it is that neon color, which is a dead giveaway that it is doing super, super well. Another cool thing about this one is that we have this beautiful stacked wall all along this side here. It's not often that ponds are kind of raised a little bit up out of the ground to give it that sort of look, but when they do, a wall like this complements it super well. And then having a nice small garden bed right in between, like this peninsula right here for all these beautiful pink perennials. It looks absolutely stunning. Just another nice little feature to have in here. So this pond does also have lights. So not only can you clearly hear it behind me giving a big impact in this environment, but at nighttime, this is a whole nother pond. Coming out here, sitting on the deck behind me or in the chairs just behind the camera, you could sit out here and just enjoy that sound, look at the waterfall when the lights are on, and just see that water coming down, hitting these rocks, and returning back into the pond. I mean, just imagine coming out of the slider door, sitting on your deck and listening to this pond with a cup of coffee, or reading your book out here in the morning just to get your day started. It is a super tranquil way to get your morning going, calm you down, get your nerves settled, and get ready to tackle anything for the day. My guesstimate on how old this pond is probably 5 years. I don't believe there's a YouTube video on it, hence why I think it's a little bit older than that, but we're gonna give it a 5-year time frame, and that moss is just a testament to that, because it has had those couple years to really grow in. When we put the moss in there, we put it in patches. We don't put these huge sheets in there because we want it to really take off and establish itself naturally. So the fact that it is these huge sheets now is just, again, another test to how well this ecosystem is doing. We are in Morristown, New Jersey, checking out this pond we built back in 2022. It has truly filled in. Nature has come in and absolutely filled this space. They actually just remulched around the entire water feature, and it looks phenomenal with a fresh layer of mulch. All the plants on the outside edges, these trees have really started to grow in. The pond itself is so full of life. It looks amazing. This tropical lily that we put in here just a couple months ago, if that even, is doing phenomenal. That beautiful purple flower in the middle there, even the hardy lily with 4 beautiful pink flowers on that far side there. This other plant that is completely encroached into the entirety of the pond, taking up just as much room as both of these lilies combined, I'd say. And then behind me, we have a wonderful lotus. We don't see many lotuses in ponds because most of the time, even over at our shop, We just put them in a flower pot on the outside. This one clearly is taken off. It is over 5 feet tall if you were standing next to it on the same level it's at. I just picked off one of the flowers. It was up to here on me. So that is a great sign that this thing is doing phenomenally health-wise and ecosystem-wise. I'm super jealous actually of all these beautiful flowers that are on top of the lotus here. We really don't get many of those over at the store. So the fact that it's doing this well here is really a testament to the space and the environment that it's in. I really do love coming back and seeing this water feature because this was a really cool one. We actually had the Fuentes brothers come out and give us a hand on. And this was, I think, a 2-week project for us. We had our challenges building it because we used some real big boulders up in the waterfall, and we were limited kind of to what our machine could really pick up. But nonetheless, we turned out an amazing product. We have a 6,000 biofalls at the top, filtering this entire ecosystem with a beautiful intake bay here, sucking in all of that top surface layer, so any debris or anything like that ends up in there, making it super easy just to scoop out with the net once a day or even just every other day. This pond also has a great assortment of fish. We have some little ones, we have some bigger ones, we even have some real tiny fry in here, so super cool. This pond also has aeration. It's got 2 aerators, one over by the waterfall and then one over here on the shallow side. So that way in the winter time, when we turn everything off, we're able to give full power to this one closer to the surface to help keep a hole open in the ice. Again, one of those things that makes the maintenance that much easier for us and our homeowner. This elephant ear is just as tall as I am. Some of these leaves on the elephant ear are probably 2 feet big by 3 feet long. I mean, how amazing is that? Especially when, again, they come in these 8-inch pots and they're maybe, 2 feet tall, if that, to begin with. These tropical plants in an environment like this, because it gets just enough sun for all of them to really flourish, and it's got plenty of nutrients from the fish and other things like the algae that are up in the waterfall. It is just the perfect environment for flourishing plants. So even right where I'm standing, we actually built this patio, and it goes way beyond over to the driveway. It is a beautiful space for you to put out some chairs, put a fire pit, put any sort of entertainment space on, and just hang out and sit right next to the pond. I'm actually standing on one of the stones that cantilevers over into the pond, so some of the water actually comes under the stone, and there is a stacked slate wall that goes all the way down to the bottom, giving it that super cool effect that if you look in, that you're looking straight down at the bottom of this pond. If you guys want to see how we actually constructed the stacked slate wall and put this stone on the top, the cantilever over, make sure you go over to YouTube and click in the link in the description. There will be the video of how we actually built the entire pond, because we only did it 3 years ago and we were doing YouTube then, luckily. So along with building this patio to have a really nice entertaining space, we built a couple steps up into the house, so that way our homeowner is able to walk right out of her sliding door and right into her beautiful backyard here. And again, we have our walkway going all the way down to the driveway, so you're really able to access this from all sorts of corners here. And then moving up into the waterfalls, they're not these huge crashing waterfalls. We have maybe a 1 or 2 foot drop into each of them, but they're nice flat stones that really cover a surface. The water is coming over the majority of the stone and just spilling down into that next falls. It looks super, super cool. And I love that the hyacinth is all the way up in the waterfall, giving it that nice extra bit of softening on the edges there. Again, something you have to put in there every single year because they don't come back. But again, if this is how it looks, when we put all these plants in here, I will come back every single year to do it. So like I mentioned, we have a 6,000 biofalls up here filtering this whole setup. And what I really like about this is that it's disguised super well. If you guys have seen in any of our videos, one of those 6,000 biofalls sitting next to one of the guys or myself, we're actually able to get inside of them, crouch down, and still be completely encased in them. That's how big they are. Here, it doesn't look like much because it's disguised super well. The dirt is brought right up to the top. We got that tray of rocks at the top, just helping disguise it even further. And then the water just coming straight out. It's so hard to tell that it's coming from a big plastic tub, that it's actually not just coming right out of the ground. Some of these boulders are a couple 100 pounds, if not 1,000 pounds. That's why it was such a hassle for us with our big excavator, our biggest machine, to set some of these, especially this one right here. That was probably the hardest rock we had to set just because of the sheer size it took. And we wanted to be super careful because obviously these are all liner systems. So it takes one slip up to create a hole. But luckily we used all of our protective layers. We took our time and we executed with absolute precision. We got this thing in here and we were able to build around it with all these other rocks, making it look like that it's not only been here forever, but that it's been built by nature. If you guys are enjoying the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to all of our social platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Make sure you go over there and you give us a follow so you can stay up to date with everything we're doing. And you can see more videos like this. But along with that, there is such a good thing as healthy algae, which is something we have here. It is just excess nutrients in the pond, just feeding off and creating what is the algae. It is totally normal. It's okay to just pick it out with your hand, throw it out. It will come back, especially because we are in those hot summer months, August right now. But as the weather starts to cool down and as we have more plant cover taking over the surface, the water temps will cool down, and with that, the algae will die down as well. The real feeder for algae is when it gets direct sunlight all day long and you have no plants covering it. You have no plants on the side sucking up that excess nutrients. So if you have none of those, the algae will flourish. But there is such a thing as a normal amount of algae, and I would say that is what we have here. Another thing I really like about this top biofloss section is this maple behind me. It's low growing, it's encroaching into the waterfall, really softening this left side here. And even we have evergreens behind me, we have hydrangeas here on the side. So in that early springtime, they have that nice color pop just to get everything kind of kickstarted for the season until your tropicals are ready to go in. This whole top section looks absolutely stunning. I really love the way this turned out. We actually did a fair bit of the landscaping around here. And then I believe she had more plants put in, and a mix of what we put in and the landscapers put in. This whole area is absolutely breathtaking. Not only am I jealous, but I'm gonna be asking Dad again and again, when is it time for us to put a pond in? So you guys let us know in the comments, which of the ponds we visited today is your favorite. I'm gonna let you know, I think this one is just about my favorite, but we still have one more to go check out, so that could change. All right, guys, we are here in Newton, New Jersey, visiting a water feature we built back in 2023. When I mentioned before that we were talking favorites of the series we're doing right now, I mentioned the one all the way back in Morris Plains being a close contender. This one takes the cake for me. It is the sheer size of the project, the fact that we have nearly 10 feet of elevation change from down here all the way to the top of those waterfalls. We have a huge, beautiful pond. This is truly a custom, one-of-a-kind creation. And we had all the guys out here. We were out here for nearly, I feel like, 2 or 3 weeks building this. We had our challenges with digging because up here it is all shale, which is just like small, thin pieces of stack stone mixed in with dirt. So we were here with the buckets hammering away, trying to dig this thing out. We couldn't really use any of the soil, so we were trucking stuff in here like crazy. But with those challenges, we turned out an absolutely phenomenal product. Not only did we do a ton of outcroppers, really holding back all of this hillside and making this whole thing blend in and not look like such a big volcano waterfall here, we went all the way down this hillside over here as well, along the whole backside of the pool, dug all that out, we graded it out, we built a large boulder retaining wall spanning a good at least 50 to 100 feet. So it was truly a challenge. And like I said, we were digging all these rocks in, so we were encountering that nasty shale, and we had a ton of challenges with that. As soon as you get out of the truck in the driveway, from all the way to the other side by the garage, you hear this waterfall crashing down, churning, and eventually coming back down into this crystal clear pond. Now, something we did a little different is there's no biofalls at the top and there's no wetland at the top. The wetland is actually down here inside of the pond at the bottom. So there is pretty much a big bucket shape of liner, and so the water comes up over it and introduces itself into the pond after it wells up through those layers of gravel and out of those aqua blocks. So that is why there's not a huge body of water up there spilling out. It's because it's right here in front of me inside of the pond. We have our intake bay all the way on that far side. We have that monster boulder in there. I definitely think that is one of the larger boulders we set in here. That big guy right there in that intake. And then we have that nice swinging seat that the customers actually put in. A beautiful addition and just a really nice spot to sit and relax. This thing is loaded with plants. We have creeping Jenny. There is a ton of it everywhere because it looks so good, and it's really taken off and softened up a lot of these edges all up in the waterfall. And again, this is only 2 years old, so it still has another 3 years to really hit that 5-year mark of where things are really establishing and that this thing is truly gonna soften up. We have 3 lilies in here. We have 2 hardy and 1 tropical, and these things are pushing flowers like crazy. I can count 5 or 6 flowers already. I mean, this thing is just doing absolutely phenomenal. The homeowners have put their touch on it. We have these beautiful herons, like I mentioned before, the swinging seat, the chairs here on the side. This pond was built with a bit of a purpose. The homeowners love their dogs and they wanted them to be able to go into this thing and get in it with ease. So we have these beautiful flat rocks here going all the way down, acting as stairs. So if the dogs did decide to go in here, they have an easy way to get out. Just a really, really cool addition to a pond like this. And even if the homeowners wanted to go in it, they certainly could. There are some larger koi in here. Not many, but there are a few. This pond can support quite a few large fish with that wetland filter in that intake. And especially because there is aeration here. We have one all the way at the bottom on the middle of the pond, and we have one at the back corner of the wetland, just helping push any debris that gets stuck and lodged there back all the way to the intake. That is why this looks absolutely gorgeous. There's no leaves, there's no sticks, there's nothing settling at the bottom because the flow is all the way at the intake, so that's where all of your maintenance is. You're not going crazy picking out leaves out of corners that are dead spots because the water is just pushing it there and it's just sitting there to float to the bottom. There is a fish cave in here, but along with that, the homeowner has put a couple supplemental fish caves in here. Some really just nice additions to help with the fish, making sure that they're happy, that they're safe, that they really don't get hit by any predators. This pond is roughly 3 feet deep, so it's a deep pond, so there is a lot of water in this body. So like in any ecosystem that we love to highlight is the moss. The moss is doing phenomenal here. It gets that great mixture of sun, shade, and moisture. And all throughout the waterfalls, there is a ton of it. It is starting to take over. I mean, this rock right under me, you could hardly even tell it's there because the moss has just grown and spread all over it. There's some over here at this waterfall at every step of the way, and it's doing phenomenal. What I really liked about this water feature is how much altitude we had to play with. The elevation change, like I mentioned, was 9 feet. So all of these drops are meant to be dramatic. They're meant to make a lot of noise, to get a lot of churning. So with all that, it's adding more aeration into the pond system. Again, helping for fish health, helping for ecosystem health. Just great, great factors to really make sure that this thing flourishes and does as well as it can. We couldn't even really use our normal excavator. We had to rent a bigger machine because we had some real big boulders. We had some real harsh digging. So we had to bring in something a little bit bigger than what we had. Now we have our big cat excavator that would come on a job like this. But again, these big dramatic drops with these huge flat rocks to create those weir stones that come up almost 3 feet in elevation. And then we have these big framers in the front. Just absolutely beautiful work. This was definitely a creation that came out of my father's mind. He did a phenomenal job, and I loved coming here to do the maintenance. I was here just the other day, and this thing, before I even touched it, it looked amazing. The one really cool thing when you're building waterfalls is that it's a little difficult to predict where the water goes, but so long as it all goes back into the same system, it's fine to go anywhere. Just like down here, we have all the water coming back, rushing from this waterfall down here into the pond, and it's spilling onto several different rocks. It is super cool because some of the rock is out of water, some of it's underwater, some of it will get that little green layer over it while the rest of it will stay nice and dry. We don't have a biofalls or a wetland setup up here, but we do have a pump pumping water all the way up here that is just a pipe dump right there into a little deeper pool section, and it's just welling up and starting the waterfall up here. It looks like it's just coming right out of the ground. It's so hard to see it from all the way at the bottom. But one really cool thing about this specific waterfall, I really like that we have this big boulder. There's not necessarily a frame rock around it. This is kind of a frame rock, but the water is just coming right over the top of it. It's not coming too far to the left. The Jenny is actually disguising this entire left side. So what a cool piece here. And again, there's frogs. I mean, right now I see 3 frogs right here, just sitting, hanging out, enjoying the water. I mean, how can you not when it comes out nice and calm, relaxing, and then eventually gets into these big dramatic couple feet drops. So like I mentioned, we did a lot of outcropping and boulder work about 50 to 100 feet down. This took us probably another week or so to do just because it was so meticulous. It took a lot of time. Like I said, the digging was super harsh. So we had these big boulders again brought in, and we hand placed every single one with the machine and a guy on the ground. And eventually we worked our way all the way down. We graded out this entire hillside. Now I can't take credit for this patio here or that slate wall. Somebody did a phenomenal job with it though. It looks amazing. It is an excellent complement to what we have over here. It is a much softer sound up here from the waterfall because again, everything is directional. But sitting up here, you get that nice, just slow moving effect of the water. You don't hear crashing, you don't hear this big churning effect. If you're sitting up here, you're able to have a nice relaxing conversation and still hear a little bit of the waterfall in the background. Another little piece of information in this build is we used concrete cloth. That is a fabric infused with the concrete mix that comes soft on a roll, but as it gets wet with moisture from the ground, it hardens just like concrete, hence the name concrete cloth. We used it just like underlayments, especially here in the waterfalls, because when the winter time comes around and we shut this thing off, chipmunks love to dig and burrow all behind it. So we made sure, because it is going to be difficult to get any sort of machinery back here or do any sort of repairs, we made sure to use that concrete cloth and really layer it in these waterfalls. The reason the chipmunks come here instead of the pond is because when the waterfall is off, obviously there is no water. So they come in, they eat that liner, and they make these big holes that sometimes are unfixable or they're very hard to detect. When you build big water features like this, sometimes it can be quite a bit of a challenge to really get it to blend in and look like it's been here forever. But because we did so many outcroppings going down this way, same thing on that side, and then there's even this nice complementary wall here that helps support some of this work, and all the plants have filled in since. This thing looks like it's been here for a very long time, and it's only been here for 2 years. And like I say, I think 5 years is really that good mark for the plants to really have their hold in the ground and have established themselves to be real, true nature having done its job. Because when we first built it, there was a lot of rocks, not a lot of plants, and only 2 years in, these plants are really starting to take off. A lot of these that come back every single year are just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger as the years go on.